This bill is a slap in the face to every blue-collar worker in Michigan. Everyone struggling to earn a paycheck, everyone who believes in freedom and choice rather than bullying and coercion. Michigan's right-to-work law democratized unions. It gave workers a voice. It made union officials accountable to the workers they represent. It made them devote their energy towards the well-being of their own members. This bill would push Michigan back towards the dark ages, when workers could be fired if they wouldn't cough up a portion of their fruits of their labor because they didn't like how the union was spending their money. It would take us back to the times depicted in The Irishman, when Al Pacino, as Jimmy Hoffa, declared, "This is my union." It would turn every blue-collar worker into a captive of union bosses who, over the course of half a century, turned Detroit from the most prosperous city in America to a shell of its former self, corrupted by mob politics. Instead of voluntarily offering dues to represent their interests, unions would once again be able to confiscate their paychecks, to spend their money for their political friends and causes they disagreed with under threat of being fired. Michigan's right-to-work law has made workers' lives better, which is why the law is overwhelmingly popular today, and everyone knows it. They know that's why this bill is being rushed to the floor with little time for public discussion. Every bill of substance so far this year, we've seen the same thing: suspend the rules, few hearings, little public notice, minimal stakeholder input, and we know exactly why. Because this is how people behave when they have something to hide. This is how people behave when they know they're doing the wrong thing. This is the conduct of bullies, of tyrants, and of fanatics. But the people of Michigan are seeing it all. They're seeing people who posture as defenders of workers, who vote to strip workers of their most basic right to freedom and choice, the right to choose whether or not their union is serving their needs, their interests, and their values. This bill would convert workers from self-determined citizens who ultimately decide for themselves whether or not their union is worth supporting to indentured servants, forced to pay tribute to a gang that puts its own interest above those of its captive workers. And of course, we can already see what's next on the horizon. This bill paves the way for allowing labor unions, whose dues are meant to be spent entirely in the best interest of their workers, to instead route their workers' now forcibly extracted dues directly into politics. Thomas Jefferson once said, "To compel a man to furnish the funds for the propagation of ideas he disbelieves and abhors is sinful and tyrannical." That is precisely what this bill would do. It would confiscate money from exactly those workers who would otherwise opt not to part with it and give that confiscated money to those they do not support. In doing so, it would make workers into subjects and turn labor unions from the worker-responsive organizations they currently are into the political mafia that certain people want them to revert to. This bill is anti-worker, anti-freedom, and anti-democratic. That's why it's being rammed through this chamber in the manner that it is. That and the fact that the Democrat majority knows they will be able to exploit this change to line the coffers of their political operations. I urge my colleagues to join me and vote no on this legislation. This is my no vote explanation, and I ask that my remarks be recorded in the journal.